No, no, no. I made this booking over 3 weeks ago. You can't just change it with an hour's notice. I don't care if Jenna's off sick today. I'm recording this afternoon and I need everything to be perfect. Is Maria free? Bloody hell. Cheryl? What do you mean they look perfect anyway? Right, I'll tell you what. Just forget it. I'm going to make sure that you don't ever touch another set of eyebrows this side of the Thames. Yeah, you too. It'll have to do for today. When flat earthers come and invade my comments section, there is one name that pops up the most as a formidable opponent. One in which I apparently shouldn't be able to debunk. It is, of course, the founding father of modern-day flat earth.
200 Proofs Earth is Not a Spinning Ball by Eric Dubay.
Hello all, my name is Simon Dan and today Flat Earth Friday returns after last week's 75k special that no one could hear. Not sure what happened with it, but either way I'll re-upload with fixed sound at a later date. My sincerest apologies. Yes, that clip was the now infamous 200 Proofs that the Earth isn't a globe by yoga instructor extraordinaire Eric Dubay. For some reason he seems to be some sort of flat earth messiah, and the requests to do a video on him have been numerous, so spotting a video he did about the seasons was my perfect opportunity. Is it some serious flat earth proof? Or a load of old horseshite? Let's find out.
In the flat Earth model, the Sun and Moon luminaries revolve around the Earth once every 24 hours for the Sun and approximately 25 hours for the Moon, illuminating like spotlights the areas over which they pass.
It appears Mr. Dubay is one of the flat earthers that actually subscribes to not only a flat earth map, but also a model. This is important because it means straight away we can infer that he doesn't have a single clue about what he is talking about.
The Sun's annual journey from tropic to tropic, solstice to solstice, is what determines the length and character of days, nights, and seasons. This is why equatorial regions experience almost year-round summer and heat, while higher latitudes north and especially south experience more distinct seasons with harsh winters.
So the seasons are caused by the Sun periodically moving closer and further away from the North Pole. Right, okay. This photo is of a solar analemma, taken at exactly 7:30 AM from the exact same location all year round. If your confident explanation of the movement of the Sun is correct, why then does the Sun not change size throughout the year? Surely if the Sun is physically moving away from you as the year progresses, it should look smaller, should it not? I'll give you a clue as to why it doesn't. Because your explanation and your model is wrong.
The heliocentric model claims seasons change based on the ball Earth's alleged axial tilt and elliptical orbit around the Sun.
You mean a model that would show the Sun being in different locations in the sky at different times of year, yet would also mean it stays the same angular size? Well, wouldn't you know?
Their flawed current model even places us closest to the Sun, 91,400,000 miles, in January, when it is actually winter, and farthest from the Sun, 94,500,000 miles, in July, when it's actually summer throughout much of the Earth.
Auga! Auga! We've got another Northern Hemisphere chauvinist, people. Eric, you do realise that yes, we are close to the Sun during the winter here in the Northern Hemisphere, but that is summer in the Southern Hemisphere. One hemisphere isn't more important than the other. Besides, the notion that temperature changes here on Earth is related to the minute difference in our distance to the Sun is simply laughable.
They say due to the ball Earth's tilt, different places receive different amounts of direct sunlight, and that is what produces the seasonal and temperature changes. This makes little sense, however, because if the Sun's heat travels over 90 million miles to reach the ball Earth, how could a slight tilt, a mere few thousand miles maximum, negate the sun's 90 million mile journey, giving us simultaneous tropical summers and Antarctic winters.
I often accuse flat earthers of two-dimensional thinking. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to accuse him of one-dimensional thinking. If I was to shine a torch directly over a given surface, almost all of that light would be concentrated in a single spot. Now, if I was to shine that torch at a shallower angle, the same amount of light would be spread over a larger surface area. That means you would be getting less energy hitting the surface per square centimetre. Let's now apply that to the sun. During the summer solstice here in the UK, let's say London, the sun reaches an altitude of almost 62 degrees. During the winter solstice, that altitude only reaches 15 degrees. That is a significant difference. In fact, during the summer here in the UK, we receive over twice the amount of solar energy per square metre. Now, what sort of a difference is that going to make to the local climate?
Thomas Winship said, "The Earth is a stretched out structure which diverges from the central north in all directions towards the south. The equator, being midway between the north center and the southern circumference, divides the course of the sun into north and south declination. The longest circle around the world which the sun makes is when it has reached its greatest southern declination. Gradually going northwards, the circle is contracted. In about 3 months after the southern extremity of its path has been reached, the sun makes a circle round the equator. Still pursuing a northerly course as it goes round and above the world, in another 3 months the greatest northern declination is reached, when the sun again begins to go towards the south."
So I guess the biggest question here is, what drives the sun to do this? What powers it? What makes it stop moving north and then decide to move south again? This is a major physical phenomenon that I have never, ever seen explained. I wonder why.
When the sun is south of the equator, it is summer in the south and winter in the north, and vice versa. The fact of the alternation of the seasons flatly contradicts the Newtonian delusion that the Earth revolves in an orbit round the sun.
Well, it doesn't though, does it? Because during the summer in the northern hemisphere, when we are one side of the sun, the northern hemisphere is tilted towards it. 6 months later, when we've moved halfway around our orbit, the northern hemisphere is then tilted away from the sun. It matches reality quite well, I'd say.
It is said that summer is caused by the Earth being nearest the sun, and winter by its being farthest from the sun.
No one with any scientific credibility has ever said that.
But if the reader will follow the argument in any textbook, he will see that according to the theory, when the Earth is nearest the sun, there must be summer in both northern and southern latitudes, and in like manner, when it is farthest from the sun, it must be winter all over the Earth at the same time, because the whole of the globe Earth would then be farthest from the sun. In short, it is impossible to account for the recurrence of seasons on the assumption that the Earth is globular and that it revolves in an orbit around the sun.
This is word salad of the highest quality. Make no mistake. Orbiting the sun, a globular shape and axial tilt are the reasons why there are seasons. No scientific textbook will ever say it's because of our distance to the sun at any point in our orbit. I believe you call that one a straw man argument.
If the Earth were truly a globe, the Arctic and Antarctic polar regions and areas of comparable latitude north and south of the equator should share similar conditions and characteristics such as comparable temperatures, seasonal changes, length of daylight, plant and animal life. In reality, however, the Arctic and Antarctic regions and areas of comparable latitude north and south of the equator differ greatly in many ways.
Well, no shit. The North Pole is on a sheet of ice that sits on water, and the South Pole is an enormous quantity of ice that sits on a continent. To expect them to be exactly the same is just silly. He rambles on more about the differences between the Arctic and the Antarctic regions, and that there shouldn't be any differences at all if the Earth was a globe. Well, to start with, we don't expect them to be exactly the same, but what Mr. Dubay doesn't understand is There is so much more to think about when looking at these regions. Our orbit around the Sun is but a tiny factor amongst many. You need to look at the temperature difference between the equator and each pole, how water and land absorb and emit radiation differently, the air and water currents around each pole, the local geography surrounding the polar regions, the depth of the ocean below the Arctic, the land mass below the Antarctic, the albedo effect, the ice thickness at each pole, etc., etc., etc. Eric, you have a lot to learn. If you could stop reading old books written by scientific illiterates, that would be great. And then stop uploading videos about the content of those books, that would be good too. Oh, and don't forget to enroll in a local astronomy course. That would help. Right, that is it for today's episode of Flat Earth Friday. I'm going to leave you today with a little fact. The Arctic gets its name from the ancient Greek word for bear, Arctus, as two constellations in the northern celestial hemisphere are bears, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, and the pole star is in one of these constellations. Antarctica is literally opposite to these constellations, so became known as Anti-Arctus or simply Antarctica. Quite amusingly also, polar bears live in the Arctic and not Antarctica. Thank you all for joining me. Please do give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and please do subscribe if you haven't done so yet. On Tuesday, we'll finally be looking at evolution, but I'll see you all before that on the live stream. Sunday night, 9 PM Greenwich Mean Time. See you then. Bye bye.